2013. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Gastani.
Here.
Councilperson Payne.
Here.
Councilperson Glover.
Here.
Council President Sellers.
Here.
I've got 5 council members present and 4 absent. The 4 being Councilperson Gill, Councilperson Julius, Councilperson Owen, and Councilperson Samuel.
Minutes to be approved.
Motion to approve the minutes of September 16th. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of September 16, 2013. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Connie,
Yes.
skipped over the approval of the agenda.
Oh, sorry about that. Have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved.
I want to say that for the sake of letting the minutes be passed, I voted for that even though I wasn't here. I'm just going to take your all's word for it.
Yeah.
We appreciate your trust.
Requesting approval of general claims in the amount of $2,285,978.16.
Amy, if you would, on page 8, under Sullivan University, at $5,000, $5,187. I'm not real certain on that, but I'd like to get that pulled. You know,
Okay.
we can help. We can go to class and update and keep up to date with our computer stuff, but I don't think we should. If it's a class through Sullivan, we shouldn't take that. So if you would pull that for now.
I will do it.
Thank you.
And on page 1 under the mayor, there are several things on there. There's a creation and a 1-year rental on sign for advertising for the tennis boosters for $900, as well as a program ad for the football team for $500, high school baseball boosters for, I'm sorry, oh, no, that's another $500.
Batting cages.
Batting cages, Jeff girls soccer boosters for $100, Jeff speech debate for $100. There's a St. Luke's United thing, that's for $100, but a lot of stuff from the school. And is there any way we can pull those until we make sure that that's covered, that it's promoting the city?
Yeah,
I would like to see the ads.
yeah, I think that's fair to do, because if it's supposed to be for promotion of the city, we want to see that.
And the reason I'm stating that is because met with State Board of Accounts, and this was before our exit interview. Actually, Scott was in that meeting as well as Les Merkley. And one of the issues that they have is with our promotional funds. City Council, mayors, and I believe Human Resources had one, and I think, Amy, you had one, and you guys have done away with
transferred
yours,
out.
right? And they said it's too lax, and it needs to be more specific what things can be used for. So that is something that I'm asking Scott to look at, what other cities do with their promotional fund, and that's per the request of the State Board of Accounts. So anyway,
So which,
if we could have that for the next something for the next meeting, that would be great.
okay,
Is general promotion of the city, is that a line item itself?
it is.
And
Just so we're
I'm not
clear.
sure, but there's certain things that when Chris, who's with the State Board of Accounts, and unfortunately I cannot remember his last name, but I can't remember. But anyway, we had this question because I said, well, we make no donations. He said the city cannot make donations. So we might want to look at that as well and see if something needs to be worded differently. make sure that we're doing everything following the State Board of Accounts rules.
Connie, could you read again, please, the list of things you want to hold off?
No. Now let me read them.
Okay.
Should we just do all of them, just to make
Something
sure?
From here all the way down.
Do you want to start from, yeah, let's just do like the American Red Cross. I'm sure that's the program ad for the belt, but if we pull one, maybe we need to pull them all just until we can see the ads and make sure it's promoting the city,
Okay.
not one thing. That's 125. The creation and one-year rental on a sign for the tennis boosters, that's $900. The Red Devils football advertising program ads, $500. That's a ticket. Donation for batting cages, $500. Soccer, $100. Donation for student on team, that's for the speech debate. Maybe they're going someplace.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you know?
No, I don't.
And I would ask Les, but he's in Indy. And the 4x4 ad.
What about the silent auction thing? Exactly, I'm not, $180. What exactly is that? When you bid on something? Is that?
Yeah. At
Did we
the
buy
Rock the
something?
Rocks.
Did we buy something, or we put a basket?
He did buy something. It was like a fire pit, because I saw it, I was there. Yeah.
For the city?
Well, it had Mayor Mike Moore on it. So I don't know. I'm assuming it was for the city representing him.
So he bought it for it to be auctioned off in a silent
Right.
auction?
Right. As a fundraiser.
Right, for the,
Scott, do you have anything about that? I mean, is that,
I mean, without knowing more information, I guess it would depend on how it was worded or presented. Was it for the city of Jeff or for an individual?
it's for an individual?
That's where some of the questions came up.
so it only said mayor, for
Mhm.
mayor.
Mayor Mike Moore.
It didn't say anything city. or-
Promotion of the city,
Just pull that one too, we can,
It needs to be generally for the city.
why not just pull that, we can always put it back if it's proper.
Something to note on that one, it was paid with the Visa, which is going to incur interest and late fees potentially, just the 180.
Well, that's one thing that the city cannot pay is interest or late fees.
Well, we've done this before, and when Lisa and I did the credit card ordinance, actually, there have been a couple of department heads that had to go back and pay interest and late fees, so.
Scott, do we know do we have any guidelines on this line item that says general promotion of the city?
No.
I mean, there's really no specific, I mean, the ordinance is so old and it's very broad.
Yes.
State Board of Accounts doesn't have any specific guidelines other than they said that ours is a little bit too broad and too loose on what's being allowed under that. I guess it's like tighten up. There's no
They
hard
pulled
fast-
it.
There's no hard and fast rule they've given us other than telling us verbally that we need to revise it to strengthen it and limit the expenditures.
You done, Brian?
Yeah, I was just a little surprised, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm just kind of wondering why different departments would have a general promotion of the city budget.
Well,
I mean, it seems like it would be under one budget, and if there's a need for that, then
Be city.
it would come out of the city budget. But anyway, I digress.
you know what, that's a good point.
That's something we probably need to consider.
That's something we probably need to look at, where it's under one budget, and then as people need, it comes before us, and we,
Amy, I think you have explained this to us, but on page 16, if you would just kind of jog my memory.
Okay.
Under the Lowell Fire Department, State Board of Account, $147,000. I think, I don't remember exactly what that was.
There is a fund, I believe it's Fund 412, that was a grant fund set up for this $147,000. and the expenditure was made from that fund, and then when the revenue came in from the grant, it was receipted into Lloyd. This happened back in 2011.
Okay.
It should have been receipted back into the fund where the expenditure to wash that out. So this is basically fixing a negative fund balance.
So are we putting this, are we putting this back in? We're not putting this in the account, are we?
Yes, it's a transfer back to the city.
Okay.
It'll go into Fund 412.
Okay. I remember something about it, I just wanted to ask.
Mhm.
That's all I have. I make a motion to pass the general claim, proof of claims with the changes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the general claims with the changes, and unfortunately, I do not have a total. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I've got a total. It's $2,278,284.86.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Parks,
Yes, requesting approval of parks claims in the amount of $56,507.07.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the parks claims in the amount of $56,507.07. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Report of the clerk, she is not here, so department head reports? No?
Okay.
Unfinished business? Mr. Corbin?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Les would normally present these to you, but he is out. So I'm here tonight to present a proposed zoning change for a property located at 3305 Holman's Lane.
We received a favorable recommendation. There were some people who spoke against it, but I know the Planning and Zoning Commission, when we looked at, everything, we looked at nearby uses and adjacent zoning classifications. We thought that it fit the district, and it was passed with a favorable recommendation to the City Council.
And this is a public hearing?
Public hearing, so definitely want to open up the public hearing for the record.
Okay, so I'm opening up the public hearing on the zoning change on Holman's Lane. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? No? Okay, public comment is now closed.
We have an ordinance number.
Yes, ordinance number 39.
Make a motion to pass 2013 OR 39. Is this just on one reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass the zoning change on ordinance 2013 OR 39. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Please, got it?
Ms. Deering?
Why was there two?
I don't know.
Connie, why was there two? They got it set up.
Oh.
New business 1 and 2. There's two,
Shane's still here, Mike.
Looks like one of them's just a public hearing, then the other one's the ordinance.
Yeah,
it's the same number?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Should be really good.
So would it be the same ordinance number?
Yeah, it's the same, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What you have before you is revision of the 2014 budget. This is from our meetings that we had earlier in the year. We have reverted back to the 2013 budget, plus any additionals and minus any reductions. And there's a few exceptions to that in payroll, and our perf went up 1%. And there's a few other exceptions to that, but that's pretty much the general changes on the general fund and all the levied funds. Be happy to answer any questions.
Just this is the advertised rate of 2.4553.
That is the rate based off of the county council review worksheet. I think you guys did you all receive a copy of this?
What is it now? Do you know, at 13?
13 was, I think, 1.7. But this is an inflated number that is based off of our advertised budget amount, which is that inflated budget to ensure we got our maximum levies.
Okay.
We won't know what our actual rate is until the budget's certified next year.
Right.
This is an ordinance, a 3 reading kind of ordinance?
Yeah, actually, technically what this says, this is first year, this is advertised a public hearing on the budget. So you technically want to open up a public hearing, allow anyone from the public to comment. And typically you introduce the ordinance. DLGF required calendar, we have up to November 1st, the time they can adopt the ordinance. So first, I recommend that we open it up for public hearing.
Okay, open up the budget for a public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak for or against? No one? Okay, I'm closing the public hearing.
And you would technically pass this, assign it an ordinance number, pass on a first reading. And then technically our next meeting of the month on October 21st.
I got 40.
we would pass it on all final readings.
Okay. And it's ordinance number 40, I imagine?
40.
Yeah.
I have a question before we...
Okay.
Yeah.
Or go ahead, because I can do it during
Make a motion to pass 2013 OR 40 on the first reading.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to pass 2013 OR 40 on the first reading.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, I have one. Under the fire, the overtime went up from 165 to 200. And why is that? Because I know when we hired the new firemen, supposedly the overtime was supposed to be going down, not up. That was one reason for hiring. Do we know how much we spent last year? Not including Thunder, because it looks like there's a line item set aside for Thunder.
I think it's over 200,000, or it will be this
Do
year.
we know why?
Do I know why? No.
Do we know why?
No.
Was it said during budget? I'm assuming you met with Mr.
I
Hedrick.
do know that there was some overtime paid out that was for training, and then we get grants back in that we will appropriate back in that line. And I think that was about $70,000 that will be reimbursed.
Connie, I sat in the other day on a workshop, and I sat in actually with Heather and Amy, and at the end of the conclusion of tonight's meeting, I'd like to get a workshop and, of course, invite the whole council and them to actually quickly go over the budget again, because I think we agreed to do the 2013 budget and include cuts, or circuit breaker cuts, and we voted on it, and then that would be their 14 budget, and then once we go through the process and starting next year, any changes or any adjustments we would have to make, we made. I don't know if you all remember voting on that. However, if you reviewed the budget, you can see some departments have done that, except for FICA and some of the things that we were running short on, but some departments have really put a lot in there that they shouldn't have done. So what I'm going to do is request a brief meeting with the council and Amy and Heather to sit down and briefly go over this and see if we can get back to where the council agreed to for 2013. So that question, I mean, I think with the, you asked about the fire and their merit question.
Right.
We can get a direct answer to that. And on this overtime and all this stuff, actually, it should have been reverted 2013 with circuit breaker cuts. That should have been the actual budget for 14. So that should not have even been changed. But since we're doing that on the first reading, because I talked to Amy and them today, since we're doing it on the first reading, that gives us time to sit down and make them adjustments, and then our final reading, it should be what we're looking for, if that's okay.
All right.
Well, Amy, if I'm reading this correctly, looking at fire, I mean, the 2013 revised budget was $6.596 million. And the 2014 requested was $6.633 million, correct? And then the
Or is that
2000...
Dave? Are you looking up here?
And-
I think that goes to this one.
Right here.
This is down
Department
here.
number 7 is fire.
I'm
Step
sorry.
at bottom. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, you're correct. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong line. Sorry about that. So the overall increase over the 2013 to the 2014
It's 100.
is $138,000, correct?
Yes.
Right.
I'm wondering, and that, does that include, does that increase include perf?
They have one civilian employee, so under the civilian employee, there are things that increase would be somewhat of an increase, because the police, if you notice, they've got dispatchers, which would be the civilian employees, so there'd be a bump up in that and a few things. And where theirs went up $28,000, and a lot of that has to do with just the rising call, okay? This went up $138,000, but some of this stuff really should have been reverted to the 2013 budget. There would be some changes like the pension, Social Security, some of that stuff. I think that, you know, if we're running short, we're going to have to increase that, but some of this stuff should have been reverted back,
Okay.
because that's what we asked.
Correct.
There were a couple meetings where, I don't recall which council members sat down with both fire and police chiefs when some of these decisions were made at that meeting. I don't think you were at that meeting.
I
So
wasn't.
that's why there's some changes in addition to the 2013.
And is some of it because of additional firefighters that have we hired anyone else?
Some of it is in their contract, their longevity goes up, and I think
Right.
that's built in on both police and fire.
Okay.
That's state longevity.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking, I don't see anything else that's...
Yeah, I don't see any big increases. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out where the jump came in.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the jump comes in, because I'm not seeing any big, major increases in it.
That's why I want to have a
Except
brief
the-
meeting with
except for
everybody, where
one.
we can just concentrate on just that and get through it so we know for sure. That's all, versus trying to dissect it in 5 minutes here tonight.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking for. Or I'm going to request it.
All right, well,
Okay,
we have a
we-
motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Pass on the first reading. Okay. Ms. Deering.
What you have before you is a request to transfer certain funds within the same department. And this is just to do some corrections on the ledger and get the books cleaned up. Parks Department, Planning and Zoning, and Fire made these requests.
Hope we pass ordinance 2013 OR 41 on first and second reading.
Second.
Have a motion to pass ordinance 2013 OR 41 on first and second reading. Any further questions? All in favor signify, oh, I'm sorry.
Real quick, on the very first one, boat dock rental, why are we transferring that to riverfront equipment? Is that just a different, are we just renaming that line item?
Of the 300 series, had a little bit of excess where it was needed in the 400 series, so we're just asking to transfer that appropriation down. It's a different item.
I've got some information for you if you want to read it on that.
41.
Okay, mine might be out of order. Which one are we on? What does it look like?
The transfer, ordinance.
Sorry. All right. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Did I get a motion, or was this the last?
Yes.
On 41?
On the first and
Okay,
second
all in
reading.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Deering.
What you have before you is a resolution to initiate a special appropriation. The first two items on here were approved, I think, on the the September 3rd meeting. And some of the other ones were just shortfalls in the funded amount for utilities and a few other items. And then from the 60,000 down, those figures have been reflected in all the financials you've received all year. They just were not advertised, and so we're trying to go through the proper channels to get these done properly for the DLGF.
I have a question. You mentioned the shortfall in utilities on some of those. I imagine that one of those was telephone.
Yes,
$40,000. That seems like a lot in today's.
it's for City Hall. It was really underfunded for this year, the budget. I think our request for next year was significantly more than what was budgeted for this year.
Because I wouldn't think over time anything changed really in a year's time. I mean,
Right.
whatever we paid the year before is probably pretty close to what we paid the next year. Is that not true?
No, I think it's true. I think it was just an oversight on the budget for this year.
So would it have been cut in 2012 when it went over to 2013? Did they make the cut and then it was short, or do we know that?
I don't know
Don't know.
offhand, no.
The source of these funds aren't listed of how we're going to pay for these. Where are they coming? Where's it coming from?
Reserve in the general fund. On the general fund items, all the appropriations that begin with 101
Right.
are general funds. The 255, that's vehicle maintenance, non-reverting, and they have the cash to support that. 430's Lloyd's. There's some drainage items, and the top item is the police non-reverting,
Okay.
and they do have the cash to support that.
Would getting back to the telephones, the $40,000, doesn't that come out of the building authorities fund?
That comes out of the Board of Public Works fund
That's just the engineer, that's the engineer.
this year, but I believe next year we're changing all City Hall utilities and the lease payment to come out of the City Hall department. So that's one change we're making for 2014.
Oh, it's got 55,000.
And with this, this is the first step so we can advertise for it, or is this?
Correct.
And so it'll come back to us for final approval?
Yes.
What
It'll be in-
resolution number are we on?
Watch it says
29.
And I guess we just...
Motion to pass 2013 R29. And, there's only one reading, so that's my motion to pass 2013 R29.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass 2013 R29.
Correct.
Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you done? Okay. Oh, Ms. Calabro.
Hi. Okay, we ready? Yep. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to look at this in your board packets. I don't know how quickly you get those ahead of time, but I tried to put together a very simplistic display of what we've talked about for over a year and a half now. This is the final piece to the last July through October, with October being the final recommendations from HR affiliates regarding the equity. We've took care of the individuals that were green circled, which were below the minimum pay based upon the ordinance that we approved back in May. These are the additional employees / positions that she had recommended and outlined for in order to maintain the integrity of our pay philosophy, to be able to get these individuals in line, to be able, with the compression that we made with going from 16 pay grades to 10 pay grades. So I tried to put together an example to try to make it a little bit clearer for people who I think still have some questions and maybe some misunderstanding. So I don't know if each of you have had an opportunity to look at that and review that to see if that makes sense. I can read it. We can go over it. But basically, what we're talking about is, if you look to the right of where it says Civil City and then wastewater, because one of the things I didn't present to you last month, which I thought, or the last time I was here, was the fact that a portion of what we were requesting to get all of these individuals, these employees, in line with the recommendations from the consultant is the total cost. And then if you look at 2012 total personnel, total wages paid in 2012, it's about 18 million. So basically, when you're looking at $37,000 ask to get us to equity, it's less than 0.02% of the overall budget, which I think is pretty much a drop in the bucket to get us to equity. I think the most telling example is if you look at the example that I gave with employee 1095 and their hire date of 4/16 of 2013, and with the new pay range where they're at compared to someone with 8 years and 10 months experience. Again, it goes back to the issue of when we do the compression and we make those internal changes, if you don't bring everybody else along with you, they continue to be left behind.
Right.
Which kind of violates the whole intent of what I believe we were trying to achieve 5 years ago when we began this process. So I tried to make it a nice, concise, one-page document per my conversation with Connie.
And an example of that would be, let's just say someone's brought in, because I know, like, police dispatchers. Okay, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, I'm using them as an example. I don't know what starting pay is for them, but let's say it's...
This is an example, right? This example is employee 1095 is a dispatcher who was just hired on April 16th of 2013.
All right, so...
This person's being compared to the other.
Right, and then if you don't bring up the employee who has been here longer, it's really disparaging, and sometimes the newer employees can end up making
And
more.
what
under
the
system
council
than
had
the old.
adopted as their pay philosophy was actually credit and pay equity for service, for length of time, and for performance. And none of these individuals have any performance issues.
Right,
So,
and these are the last ones, just for some of the two newer council people under the old administration. Everyone has been brought up. These are the last ones that we have to do. These are the only employees that are left. We
Yes.
start off like the street department. We brought all of those people up. We kind of did it in sections. Maybe we should have just done it all at once.
Yeah.
But these are the final people that need to do it, and then we're done.
right. And the Civil City, the cost of Civil City is $25,891, and the cost to wastewater is the $10,914. And I guess the other thing is to keep in mind is that the lack of decision just continues to compound the issue for future data analysis. I think if we're not going to abide by the policy and pay for performance, then why have the policy?
I don't think
mean,
it's just that we have already done all of the other employees, and these are the last ones that we have to do, and for some reason it's
Yeah,
not
and
going. And it's-
basically the data's a year and a half old now.
Right.
Which is, we knew going in we weren't going to try to do everyone at once.
Right.
So I don't know if the explanation makes sense. If you guys have questions, I see some conversation going on. If you have any questions I can answer that might be helpful.
No, if we approve these, is it in the budget already, this additional amount, or we'd have to change the budget?
And can I say to that point, I know with the green circle, my recommendation to last month was that be retroactive, because we basically were in violation of our own pay policy. this could be tomorrow, it could be November 1st, it could be December 1st, it could be January 1st. My recommendation would not be to make this retro, if that helps. I mean, this is a moving forward date.
And this isn't even, it's not really set up as an ordinance.
This is already in the ordinance. All these, no one's
It's already in the
changing pay
ordinance.
grades, nobody, this is already within the confines
Just
of the
getting
ordinance.
our approval to go ahead and do this, the equity with the money. I'm not even,
I know, but it doesn't require a change in our, it doesn't require any,
No one's changing the pay grade. Everybody is
so we
already,
just do by motion?
It's really complying with the pay grade.
yes,
So just need a motion
We
to,
need a motion, yeah.
and complying with the wage and salary ordinance that's been approved.
and as far as the date is, it doesn't matter, we can just make
You could
it
pick that. I would
November
not,
1 or...
my recommendation is not to make it retro. My recommendation on the green circle to make it retro was only because when we changed that pay grade, we had people that fell below what the entry level was.
Ms.
So my
Jerry?
recommendation last month, when Les was here, was to bring those folks, make that retro to the night that the council approved the pay grade, because like Scott said, we were actually, at that point, contradicting our own ordinance.
All right, Ms. Deering, is there a certain date that works better as far as from accounting? I mean, sometimes the first of the month doesn't really work the best for you all. Is there a certain date, or would you recommend it
I think a lot of these employees are semi-monthly, so beginning of the month,
would actually work best?
I didn't look up who was who, sorry.
and then we can adjust 2014 budget if we were to adopt it to reflect these businesses. I'm not suggesting January 1, I'm just...
So if we made like November 1, first of the next month, would that work for you?
Be effective November 1, payable at their next payday. Kim, let me ask you something real quick, although we're bringing this group of employees here up to the current minimum,
No, this
No,
is
it's not.
minimum. We've
No,
already
this
done
is
that.
equity. This is,
These are the people who, because the entry level, as a result of the data survey last year, the market, and particularly with a large number of these folks are dispatchers. That entry level position switched and shifted to a higher entry level pay. So in order to maintain the philosophy that we have adopted as a city to pay for performance, to pay for time, to pay for service, there was also that shift that she identified certain folks based upon their length of service and zero performance issues or lack of performance issues. Those individuals, assuming that they meet all their credentialing requirements, whatever technical training they have to obtain every year to maintain their job, they have done everything they're supposed to do. So therefore, because if you look at like the tenure of these folks and the length of service, that would automatically make that shift for them through the pay grade, as opposed to staying where they are, because, like, say, the dispatcher started, if you look at the example, we had somebody that was just hired in April of 13, who's earning the same hourly rate as somebody who's been here for over 2 years, because 2 years ago, the entry level was almost $1 less than it is now.
okay. So this shift will take them above the minimum level, and will pay them for their tenure, I say.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, that's good enough, okay.
I'll make a motion to allow the increases to occur as recommended by Ms. Calabro, effective November 1st.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to allow the increases recommended by Ms. Calabro to be implemented November 1st. Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Lewis. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Kim has one more.
This is an easy one.
Okay.
Hey, this is good news. We don't always increase pay, we sometimes decrease pay.
I noticed you didn't say that real loud.
You know, like,
Kind of that feigning voice as you said that.
yeah. We have a position that originally was called, titled Construction Inspector Engineer, and it's back when wastewater was hiring someone and they needed somebody with very technical experience to go through the city and work with John Paul, who's doing the GIS, and identify and mark every manhole that we had. I don't know if you all recall the days that we were doing that. And at that time, we needed somebody the sewer board and Len felt like we had to have somebody with some engineering background and a real technical skill set. He did that. He has successfully accomplished all that. It's all mapped and in GIS and all that kind of stuff. He has moved on. We've shifted some employees around within wastewater. And as a result of that, the engineering piece and that technical skill is really no longer needed. So what we've done is, I suggested to Len, is that we take off engineer, and we're going to call it construction inspector. The pay grade went from a non-exempt position, it went from an exempt position to a non-exempt position. And then the EEO classification is no longer professional, it's a technician. And then the salary went from $24.20 down to $21.20. But just to kind of be in line with the salary ordinance and what we've done typically internally, I guess once we approve this, then once I go back and change that in the salary ordinance, when I come back in 2 weeks, the salary ordinance will reflect construction inspector and not construction inspector engineer.
Now, I'm assuming nobody's in this position now?
Yes, we transferred. We made some moves.
So this would be an open position?
No, we've moved somebody in there. So we have moved somebody in there, which is the other reason with their skill set. And they're not being paid the higher wage.
So basically, they're being paid the $21.20 now. We just
Yes.
need to change the title. So it's not going to
To
affect them?
reflect that person's credentials and qualifications.
Okay.
And when we offered him the position, we said, you're not, we're downgrading this position kind of internally because we don't have that need. And it used to require a bachelor's degree and an engineering degree, and now it doesn't. There are some licensure requirements, and this person does have all that.
So he took the position knowing that this is what it was going to pay and that was what the title was going to be?
Yes.
Okay.
And what about the gentleman that left? What position, so there's a position left open?
No, it's the same position. When he left, then we moved this person into that position
And
and
the
paid him
person that moved
less.
in that position, what was his position? Somebody leaves, you got to go.
Yeah, they've been filled. I'd have to redo that chart and think of who is who, because we've had 3 of those guys leave. So the person who took this position opened up another position, which is now the one that Robbie DeArc is in.
So Scott, would we have to make a motion to amend the salary ordinance to reflect the changes in title and position titles?
Well,
Les and I felt like we should.
yeah.
I think he talked with you.
The titles are in the salary ordinance.
Right.
I think that was your conversation with Les.
You would have to amend your ordinance.
So that it wouldn't look like we have a title of a position called construction inspector engineer when really it's a construction inspector.
Do you happen to know what the ordinance number for the salary ordinance?
But I was told not to change that because you'll have to
Just
vote
to
on it. And then
amend
when I
it?
come back next month, then I guess it would change, the way Vicki explained it to me, unless I misunderstood her. I didn't present to her the ordinance tonight with that change, because I thought you'll have to vote on it first.
You're saying you want the
And then I change it.
authorization to come back at the ordinance? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
Because it's not going to be
so.
approved at the next meeting unless you may approve it on all 3 readings, because the ordinance isn't before.
So I guess if you approve it on all 3 readings, then I will go back and change the ordinance tomorrow, submit that to Vicki, and it'll be changed. Is that how that
It's up how
works?
you all want to do it. Ideally,
But the ordinance is OR 22.
yeah. Just to
Is that the
save
new
time.
one or the old one?
That's the one we're currently under.
Heartland? Or 22?
Yeah, for them to vote on the ordinance, they need to say they're voting on the ordinance rather than just voting on the change. The ordinance number.
But Les and I didn't know whether we should really make that change, and I think you all spoke, and I think you and Les spoke.
About this.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, I thought you did.
So, if we vote on this for the first reading tonight, and our second reading in October, we can take our second and third reading, and we can change the title to reflect that. We can do it all at the...
Or if you all vote tonight, what I hear you saying, and you're all in agreement, I will go and change that title in the ordinance and submit that to Vicki tomorrow.
So we can suspend the rules. But my question is this, since we're so late into 2013 and this person is already being paid at the reduced rate and knows that there's
Right.
not the promise of being paid the higher rate, why wouldn't we just tackle this with the 2014
I
salary
have
ordinance?
no problem. We were just wanting to make sure that you didn't think that we were trying to do something.
I mean, is it going to cause a problem?
No.
I mean, instead of going through the whole, I mean, I know it's
We
just a
revised
matter
the job description
of
and had
saying
them
some
sign the new
words and
job
we change it, but
description.
if, here in 2 months, we're going to be doing this again anyway,
Right.
so.
Classification for me, I was advertising very long.
No, he's an hourly instead of a salaried employee now. It's the only difference.
You just want to put this on 2014?
Scott, what's the best way for us to do this? I
I see what you're saying. It makes
I see
everything
that just with
easier.
the strike of a pen, we've kind of changed this title, and this person came in knowing that this is what they were going to be paid.
I think maybe a way to do it, so at least it's reflected that we're authorizing this tonight, showing the change in title, the change in approve this with the understanding that we're going to reflect it in the 2014 salary ordinance.
Gotcha.
That we're voting that it's effective now, but it's for purposes of house cleaning, or whatever, however you want to term that, that we'll put it in writing into the 2014 ordinance.
But tonight, we do need to amend 2013 OR 22, correct? To reflect these changes, or not? Am I not understanding you?
Well, I think you can do it one of two ways. You can either suspend the rules. Bring it back next time.
Yeah, let's just bring it back next time. This isn't an emergency, just bring it back next time.
As long as it's not causing a confusion on your part.
No, I just, this is kind of one of those unique things where, it's done the reverse, and our wage policy doesn't really, the salary administration policy doesn't really address that issue, other than I just wanted, since I'm now the keeper of the ordinance, I didn't want in a month from now or 2 months from now, somebody say, well, what's this title? And not have
Right.
had that discussion with you guys about that change of that title.
Okay. Just bring it back next.
Clear as mud, right?
Welcome to my world, yeah, every day. Yeah. Okay, so
Right.
we're good, just,
We're good.
somebody's gonna let me know when I need to change it?
Well,
Amy?
or let's bring it back or whatever next
Okay.
meeting.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay, Mr. Lewis.
Randy Hollis. Hey, just make sure he's got it.
In your packet tonight is a proposed ordinance, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2011 OR 73, which said ordinance amended ordinances, and you see those listed, 97 OR 73, 2007 OR 1, and 2008 OR 16, which created the Advisory Drainage Board. What's being proposed tonight, this is kind of a house cleaning matter over the years. The Advisory Drainage Board ordinances have been amended from time to time, and over the years, there are certain things that were not amended that probably should have been included in the past amendments. It's kind of created some confusion with this particular board. What's recommended tonight, that the most recent Drainage Board ordinance, which is attached to this ordinance as Exhibit A, the ordinance 2011 OR 76, just to kind of comply with statutory law. The first proposed amendment would be that in the numbered paragraph number 1 of ordinance 2000 OR 76, when it speaks about how the Drainage Board was created to advise and assist the Jeffersonville Board of Public Works and Safety, that the words Board of Public Works and Safety would be deleted and replaced with the Sanitary Sewer Board. The second requested amended change would be that that a new subparagraph E for that numbered paragraph 1 would be added, that that one of the duties of the Drainage Board would be recommending to the Sanitary Sewer Board the approval of contracts concerning drainage matters. The third recommended amendment would be that in numbered paragraph 8 of ordinance 2011 OR 76, also that the words of Board of Public Works and Safety would be deleted and replaced with the words Sanitary Sewer Board. And then finally, the fourth amended change would be that a new numbered paragraph 9 be added to ordinance 2011 OR 76, stating that the city engineer shall supervise and oversee any city employees utilized for drainage matters. And the reason why these changes are being recommended, first of all, because when the Drainage Board was first created back in '97, there was not a sewer board, and the Board of Public Works handled sewer matters. So that's why the original ordinance stated that it would advise and assist the Board of Public Works. And then when the sewer board was created a few years after the Drainage Board, that language was never amended, and it should have been amended, because once a sewer board's created, it takes away all the storm sewer matters and other drainage matters away from the Board of Public Works. The reason why the language about recommending to the sewer board for the approval of contracts, because technically this drainage board, it's an advisory board. It's not one of those statutory boards that has contracting authority. So to make sure that the contracts they're approving are ratified appropriately under the law, you need a contracting board authority to approve those. That's why they would still vote to recommend contracts for approval, but just have the sewer board ratify that with a vote, just to make sure there's no confusion regarding contracts.
And if the drainage board agrees, and what happens if they agree on a contract and it's sent to the sewer board and they deny it, they turn it down?
Well, then the contract's denied, and then there'd have to be...
So the sewer board has full control over the drainage board?
No, that's not true. No, they would still be doing everything they're doing other than what's listed here. So, but it's kind of important because just like this entity can only enter into a contract with an attorney, you can't enter into contracts with anyone else. And over the years, the drainage board has gone off in certain directions, kind of outside the scope as an advisory board, and we just want to make sure the contracts are ratified appropriately by a contracting authority.
The statute states that the advisory drainage board does not have the right to enter into
Well,
contracts.
there's no statute on a advisory drainage board. That was created under home rule, but there's no statute even on a drainage board. That was created by home rule, not subject to an existing statute. Board of Public Works is a statutory board. Sanitary Sewer Board's a statutory board with all these statutory powers. Drainage board was created just under home rule. There's no statute on a drainage board.
So what we have then is not technically wrong.
It's not technically wrong. It's just kind of muddy, so to speak. We just need to clarify this, how it's evolved over the years.
What, if I may, what is kind of brought about this? What has brought this to the table? Why are we making this change now? This is, I mean, the board has gone on and contracted for years in the past. Why are we changing now?
Just various questions that have been raised by various people, different contractors, different other permittees, other people from the state. Just want to clarify this.
So would this change, and I apologize for coming in late, but would this change make the advisory, or make the drainage board more similar to the parks advisory boards? Whereas we have a parks advisory board and a parks authority, there would be a drainage board, but ultimately a sewer board would control.
I don't think it's, no, I think there's still going to be a lot of independent powers that they currently are exercising, such as approving Rule 5 permits, Rule 5 plans, and so forth, that they're doing now. I mean, the key change is the ratification of contracts, I think is one of the key things, because there's nothing in the law technically that arguably would allow an advisory drainage board to enter into a contract with full authority without some other contracting authority to approve that.
Right.
And then, of course, item 4, when it talks about city engineer shall supervise and oversee all employees utilized for drainage matters, that's already in the job descriptions for drainage employees. They report to the city engineer anyway. This just clarifies that an advisory board does not have direct control or supervision over drainage employees. They report to the city engineer. That's already in the job description. So that just kind of clarifies, just so there's no confusion as to the duties of this advisory drainage board.
Just speaking for myself, I guess I need to, I'm a little confused on this, and I would like to maybe at some sit down and have a workshop, or at least do a little more research into this.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't asking for all 3 readings. It would be...
I understand. You
could
said
approve it all.
home rule, what they're doing now, home rule applies, right?
Well, I mean, it was created under the genesis of home rule, but then there's a legal question whether under home rule you can give a board that doesn't have statutory authority to enter into contracts, whether you can convey that by home rule or not.
I think I'm on the same page with you, Mike. I think we ought to sit down and discuss this a little bit, make sure we know what we're getting into. I'd honestly make the motion to table
I'll
until the
second
next
that.
meeting.
Yeah, just because I'm not, I don't know if I'm not necessarily far against it, but I know Lisa's, she's not here, she apologized, but she's in Indianapolis at IAC, and there's a lot of pieces I'm not sure on. And just speaking for myself, I just soon do a little more research.
Yeah, I know she did say she would like for it to pass on the first reading, but...
I just soon table it.
Yeah, because I did speak with Lisa too. She said first reading, and then
Right.
have the rest of the people come back to
Right.
before there's any final passage.
We got a motion.
42
Pardon me?
or 42. Have a motion and a second for ordinance 2013-042 to be tabled. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
What was the vote then? 4-1?
5,
5.
because Matt's here now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, 5-1. Okay.
Late, but still here. Still here. Okay, Mr. Lewis.
Okay, and the next item, this is another kind of a house cleaning thing that we've talked about with the city engineer and with the sewer board and also drainage, was the proposal to transfer the MS4 program and the MS4 coordinator position, which currently, under the job description, reports to the city engineer, to have that transferred to the sewer board. And just a kind of like a very basic summary of what MS4 means. This is from the state website. MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Systems. That's where the 4 comes in. The 3S is the Separate Storm Sewer Systems. And it's controlled by Indiana Administrative Code 327 IAC 15-13. Is commonly referred to as Rule 13. And in essence, Rule 13, or the MS4, it regulates municipal storm sewer systems, which are defined as conveyances or systems of conveyances owned by a state, city, town, or other public entity that discharges to waters of the United States and is designed or used for collecting or conveying stormwater. Regulated conveyance systems include roads with drains, municipal streets, catch basins, curbs, gutters, storm drains, piping channels, ditches, tunnels, and conduits. And according to all these rules of the MS4 program and Rule 13, certain type of these discharges are regulated and there's permits that are required and so forth. And kind of as a housekeeping matter, and we've spoken with Andy as a city engineer, who before this program reported under him, but under the statute for sewer boards, they also do have authority or jurisdiction over storm sewer systems, not just sanitary sewer systems. And there has been some breakdown in some of that permitting with the Rule 13, and we believe in moving forward after speaking with the city engineer and also members of the Drainage Board. I did speak with Lisa, she's not here, but Lisa's in favor of moving the Rule 13, which is MS4, to the jurisdiction or authority of the sewer board, because the way the sewer board is set up, they have regular meetings a month, twice a month, and it's easier to coordinate this MS4 program than the way it's been under the city engineer. So, and this is not to be confused, there's other rules under Indiana Administrative Code that deals with stormwater runoff, such as Rule 5, which is a construction permit for stormwater runoff for sites over an acre. That's not MS4. So you have things like Rule 5, Rule 6. This is just what we call Rule 13. So that is the proposal, just to kind of clarify the operations and make it work a little bit more efficiently than what's been done in the past.
And to be honest with you, this started actually under Rob Ways. It's when all this MS, 13?
13.
Started. That's that's what it says. Rule 13. Rule 13 began with the Clean Water Act. And so it's not that old, but even then it was under the Drainage Board. For some reason, it never did get transferred over to the Sewer Board like it probably should have been. So...
Yeah, I mean, technically they had an independent contractor, the city had, so technically it was not theoretically under the Drainage Board. There was an independent contractor, and then the city ended up hiring a full-time employee. And that full-time employee under that job description reports to the city engineer, but there's been some breakdowns on how this works.
Right.
And I think Andy's in favor of it, and to transfer just the Rule 13 MS4 program to the sewer board.
I'm just saying that was under, because I remember Strand was part of that, because I went to some of the meetings, countywide meetings, when they were trying to get everyone in the county on board with it. And so, but it was done under the Drainage Board at that time, not with the sewer. So, and I'm not speaking against it. I think it probably should be transferred to the sewer.
So is it the stormwater coordinator? Are we transferring the MS4 part of that job description to the sewer board, or the whole?
It's the MS4, the Rule 13, all aspects of the Rule 13.
Yes, so if we had a stormwater coordinator, yes.
Who was
Before it was
the-
Strand, and I think that Strand was, I don't know, with the drainage board, I think it's Strand, I'm not sure Charlie's back there, but someone, I know there's an engineering firm that's kind of over it now, so all that would be transferred to the sewer board. And if they felt that Strand wasn't needed, or whatever engineering company, they could.
I'm gonna make it a point to talk to some of the drainage people. I'm not familiar with this, and it's not that I doubt you, Connie, but I'm not familiar with some of this.
It's
and
state
so,
statute, it needs to be
yeah,
moved under the,
I'm gonna ask some of them just so I can
Okay.
understand it better, that's it.
well, Charlie's here. Charlie, do you have anything you want to say about this, president of the drainage board? Well, you need to come up here so we can.
You see the problem?
I guess my question is, we had an employee who was the MS4 coordinator.
Right.
So then, are we transferring that entire position to the sewer board, or just part of that position? And
No, because her position was all,
Her position was
It was-
all MS4.
was all of MS4.
all MS4?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying the position was MS4.
I'm going to be right up front with y'all. I'm chairman of the Drainage Board. We work very hard to do our job. There've been some friction, static with, I know that you don't want me to say names, but Deb was in charge of the MS4 program. We have had people contact me as chairman that that job was not being done right, that we could be fined, state of Indiana can come down on us, Jeffersonville, and our biggest thing is what I've seen, and like I said, there's some politics being played in this game. So my feelings is that you're all the board, and Lynn works for the sewer. Deb's was his wife, and I think that's why the 4MS was under the drainage board, because
Well,
wife
but
and husband can't
I'm
work
going to be
together.
fair here, it was under the drainage board before
The MS4
that was ever
was
happened.
under the city
Under the
engineer.
city engineer.
Job description was
Yeah.
Was appointed by the mayor.
Right. But my whole question to you is, because I've spoken to Lisa, and she said she was fine with it being moved, do you feel the same, the
Rule
MS4?
13, Charlie.
Rule 13.
13.
Rule 13.
And, because she told me that she had spoken to several drainage board members, and they were fine with that being done.
I guess my question is, and I don't want to put Charlie on the spot, so I apologize for that, but is this something that has to be done tonight, or could we do our own homework before we move forward on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
push you in any.
Okay, so we're not in a hurry?
Well, I think a better question is, did you say this is state statute that it has to be under the sewer board?
Well, it necessarily doesn't have to be, but it works better because right now, the MS4, the job description that's currently on file reports to the city engineer. The city engineer has a lot going on outside of this. The sewer board, by statute, has authority and jurisdiction over matters that aren't just sanitary sewers, it includes storm sewers. It's right there in the statute, including drainage, conveyances, and so forth. So that's why, I don't know if Andy's here, but we've spoken with Andy about this city engineer. He's fine with the MS4 program, instead of reporting to him, reporting under the control of the sewer board. The sewer board is kind of, by statute, created to handle these type of storm sewer systems, permitting process.
So whereas the sewer board only looks at sewer issues, the city engineer is looking at a multitude of issues, and this is the last thing on his plate. Well, this is going to be ranked on a 1 to 100 issue.
I have spoken with Andy, and he would be kind of relieved not to have the MS4 and the job description report to him.
So politics aside, this makes more sense.
It makes
Right.
more sense. But surely, I mean, if you all want to, I'm not trying to tell you all that you have to vote tonight.
Is this, how many
Who's
votes?
covering the duties now that we've lost our MS4 coordinator now?
I don't know. I don't know who's been hired for that.
If the position's not filled, who would hire it? I guess, who would cover it, the city engineer?
Technically, technically the city engineer, unless there's a change, because this vote would change the job description of that program and that coordinator. So right now, since that coordinator reports to the city engineer, technically it would be the duties of the city engineer to handle that.
So it would continue, since we're not in a hurry, it would continue as is until we get the information on this to make that move.
I assume, I can't speak for the city engineer's office, whether he's able to do that. I mean, technically that
Well, he's done
position
it.
reported to him. Well, the position reported to him.
I see.
He's not been physically doing it himself, so
I see.
I don't know if he's hired anyone else, or the city's under that position. I don't know. I've not spoken with Andy since then.
And what about the shift in pay be?
The position is vacant.
How is that position paid now? Is it half sewer, half municipality, or how's that paid?
I believe right now it's being paid 100% from drainage.
So that would shift to the sewer.
Shift to the sewer, yeah.
It would actually help the drainage, and they would be able to use more money for their city projects.
Is that a change that needs to occur on paper in the salary ordinance?
Well, yeah, because there's a job description. and
Right.
That would be the job description for that position, coordinator and the duties.
Right. I just don't have anything in front of me, so I wasn't sure what the...
Well, yeah, and the proposal would be to allow that change to be reflected in the job description. The reporting person or the authority says the engineer. sewer board. That's what it would be.
So you would put a full-time employee responsible to a board that meets twice a month?
Twice a month.
They have lots of employees.
I would,
Okay.
I mean, I don't really feel comfortable taking action with what has been presented. I'd rather wait with the other and see if we can have a workshop or something.
Well, if it doesn't have to be done tonight, and it is being covered under the city engineer, I mean, if we're not in a big hurry where it has to be done, I have no trouble supporting that, because I would like to meet on the 2013 OR 42
Right.
as well as this too. They're not necessarily together, but in some ways they do because of the boards.
Well, to me, it looks like there's at least two people uncomfortable with it, at least at this point, maybe for lack of information. With that, I'll just make a motion to table. We can bring it back next time.
Let me say one thing. We have to make a report by November, but we have a company that we've hired to do that for the state. So
So you're covered?
we're covered right now, yes.
Second your motion.
I have a motion and a second to table the decision to transfer the MS4 program and the MS4 coordinator from the city engineer to the sewer board. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I feel better doing that.
City Council Attorney Report, do you have anything?
I have nothing for tonight.
Okay. Public comment, there was
That was,
nothing.
he passed, Connie, I put that on there, scribbled it on there.
And council comment, Councilperson Smith.
I've just got one thing I'd like to schedule, hopefully this week. I don't know how long it would take, just a budget meeting. Again, we as a council voted to take the 2013 budget, include the circuit breaker cuts, and make that our 14 budget starting off. And the budget we have doesn't reflect that. So what I'd like to do is, I would like to meet to go over that before our final meeting at the end of the month. It really shouldn't take that long, but just to take a brief and get with Amy and Heather and go over it a little bit and just kind of finalize it to make sure it's what we voted on. So I didn't know what would be good for you guys. I talked to Amy and Heather, Amy earlier today, and this week, the sooner the better, so this week would work for them.
Well, I'm out all week, so don't even worry about me in the mix. So whatever works for you all is perfectly okay with me.
I just want to revert back to what we voted on, that's it.
I agree.
Wednesday or Thursday would be best for me.
Okay, Wednesday I've got a 5:15 UEZ, so I would say at 6 o'clock on I could meet.
Well, now, are you talking about the meeting like of the finance committee or?
The council, would be the
Yeah,
council.
Well, we have to have 48 hours
notice.
notice.
Public notice.
So that has to be
I
Thursday.
leave to go out of town on Wednesday, so past Wednesday I can't go.
That's going to be, because you have to
You
advertise.
have to have 48 hours notice
So Thursday,
at the earliest.
okay.
Well, Mike, it sounds to me like what you're wanting to do is just correct the proposed budget back to what we voted on for the 2013 actual. I mean, does it really need to be all of us, or is that something that just a couple people could sit down in a meeting and correct?
I'm offering, I understand the FICA and Social Security, some of that stuff, we have to increase that.
Right.
I get that. But some of the other stuff, requests, wasn't something that it really should have not been put on there, I felt, because it wasn't what we asked them to do. Right or wrong, good or bad, but I'm just saying it, I wanted to open it to the entire council, you know, but
Yeah.
obviously if you can't make it.
Well, with the 48 hours notice, I know Zach and I both can't make it, so,
Okay.
you know, if somebody else is willing to step aside, you can have 3 or 4 and meet and still,
Okay, can we make it Thursday evening at 6 o'clock? And then whoever shows, fine, if they can't, fine. And it'll be for the council and Amy and Heather, finance guys.
Does that work for you? Can you make it that night? It's your birthday.
And we can have a party afterwards.
No, I don't want to do it on
Yeah,
my
you can't do that.
birthday.
I mean,
Wednesday. If you don't have to advertise, you can still do it Wednesday.
yeah,
But if I don't advertise, it has to be less than a quorum.
right.
So I won't be here, and I know Zach is relented, so. I try to help you out.
Yeah,
You're
do you-
giving.
if you- do you
Can
have
we do
plan-
it during the day
Yeah, during the workday.
instead of in the evening?
Yeah. Will be a good time during the workday. Thursday,
Or Thursday?
because we don't know, there's going to be,
We'd have to
there won't be
notice it.
2 here. Can we make it Wednesday since it won't be,
Well, we don't know, because Dennis and Nathan and
Lisa's not
Lisa are
here?
not here, so we don't know who is
Well,
going
then
to
you
show.
definitely won't have a quorum, so.
Huh?
Well,
No,
you
I
won't
s-
have a quorum.
No, they'll be back then.
Oh.
I don't know if they'll want to be
Be
there.
here.
It's first 4 sign up.
Thursday, what time?
Yeah.
That way we'll cover ourselves.
Anytime after 11.
Well, then you want, I mean, so 11 is good? Okay. Because by 12, everybody will be getting hungry and they'll fly through it. So you want to make it Thursday at 11 o'clock in the council chambers upstairs?
I'll make popcorn. She does not want you to do that because she wants us out there sooner, so.
And so that'd be the council and you guys. Okay, is that
Now,
good?
I have depositions at 10 a.m. at that point.
I don't know if you need to.
That's okay.
They don't need to.
I mean, if I come out, if the depositions don't last more than an hour.
Well, we're just going over, there's a few
The
things on the,
Depositions, sometimes they get done in half hours, sometimes
Yeah. but I don't think, with them, I think we're good. Okay?
But I'll try to be there.
Okay, so we'll have set up a meeting Thursday at 11 a.m.
I'll advertise.
Okay? And that'll be with the council and the finance people. Amy and Heather, you guys good?
And that will be advertised,
Yes.
just in case.
Yeah, I'm going to advertise it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you done, Councilperson Smith?
Yes, ma'am, I am now.
Councilperson Zastovny?
I have a couple things. I guess Amy and Scott, regarding the sewer department construction crew doing work for redevelopment, have they been reimbursed or submitted a claim for that?
I haven't seen it firsthand, but I think I heard from Lynn, I think he said they finally did pay. Is that correct, Amy? That Redevelopment did
I'm
finally
not
pay.
100% sure, but I know they only meet once a month, so it can sometimes take a while.
I
I can
think,
check.
I think at our last meeting, I think Lynn said that they finally did reimburse.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I'll double check that, I'm pretty sure they have. It took a long time.
I know it took long, and that's why I was going to bring it to everyone's attention what's going on,
I
but,
believe Lynn said they finally did pay.
okay. I wanted to mention that I think a number of people know, and I guess it was in the paper about excavation work being done at Colston Park. And I wasn't aware that they were going to start, at Parks Authority, I don't think was aware they were going to start the work, but they have done the work. It was contracted through redevelopment, and they're going to, they're not going to go any further west of where they're digging now. I don't know if that was in the paper or not, I didn't read the story.
Said 120 feet, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, they said, okay. So I just wanted to kind of bring everybody up to speed on that. I did want to mention also, going back to redevelopment, and I know that redevelopment used the sewers construction department, and they got reimbursed for the work that redevelopment asked the construction crew to do. But redevelopment's also asked Parks, through Paul Northam, to help with the Ellison Brook Park area park.
We need to
And I just want to let everybody know that I've asked Mr. Northam to do the same thing, keep track of the hours if we use park resources for that, and to bill redevelopment for that work. And then I also want to say one other thing. I missed last meeting, and I know there was a vote regarding redevelopment and a declaratory judgment. And I just wanted to say, someone said, well, I don't know if they were just kind of saying off the cuff or if they really meant something, but they said, boy, it was convenient you missed that meeting when that vote happened. So I just want to publicly say that I support the council's move for a declaratory judgment on all these issues with redevelopment regarding the leases and the purchase of land outside the TIF district. So if there's not any question, you know where I stand on that. That's it.
Okay. Councilperson Payne?
Pass.
Councilperson Glover?
Nothing.
Councilperson Owen?
I just put down that I made it in at 7:55.
Definitely doing that.
Thank you.
We've already discussed that.
Apologize for my tardiness. That's all.
Okay, and then I have something from National League of Cities that Candy gave me, and this is about the delegate. And I guess, Ed, you're going to be going to that, possibly
Yes.
Brian, so I need a voting delegate and an alternate voting delegate. So you want to fill this out?
Sure.
You're going to be going, and then Brian, if you're going, you
Fill it out
can
as
do
an
the
alternate.
alternate.
Okay.
Is that in Phoenix this year?
Seattle.
Seattle.
It'll rain. Seattle.
That's all it does.
That's all
Rained
it
last
does.
time.
It rained in
Oh, it
Boston.
did.
Okay, and I have nothing further, so
Motion to adjourn.